welcome to another episode of Every Comic is Someone's First. So what if it's this one?
Just a few days ago, I reviewed Spider-Man 94 #1, and didn't like it that much. So when I found this issue of Justice League Adventures in a dollar bin, I wanted to compare it. You may be thinking, that's not fair. One is a #1 and the other is a #11. But believe me when I say that this issue is better than the Spider-Man one in every way. The first thing I want to point out is the art. Holy cow, this looks so much like the cartoon. Compared to Spider-Man, it's night and day. The characters are all on model and it's a real treat to look at. Story-wise, I did not expect a comic like this to make me so emotional. The basic story is about a criminal with time travel powers named Kronos. He was jailed by the Justice League but now has a parole hearing. His future self appears to vouch for him, and we get an appearance from future Superman who also vouches for him. As it turns out, the two Kronoses have a plot. They enter the time stream to get back to the moment of a fire that killed their brother a year ago. On the way, they run into the Flash and the Atom, who attempt to stop them, but there are now more than two of them. They use time travel to get an entire army of Kronoses to try over and over and over again to save their brother, threatening to destroy time itself in the process. Eventually, the Flash races back to get Kronos' brother, who tells him that he has to accept his death, that he has to let go. As the younger Kronos promises his brother that he will never become the old, jaded, and obsessive Kronos, the older version begins to fade away. Kronos goes back to jail and is met by someone he doesn't know, a young woman from the future, Kronos' daughter, who he named after his brother, Bobby. She tells him that things don't get easier, but they will get better, that he'll learn to heal. So how would I rate Justice League Adventures #11? I would rate it as ultimate. It really has no right being this good. Even though it's a standalone, it strikes this great balance of action and emotion. It also drops one of the hardest lines in fiction. When a lady asks Flash where the League was when the fire claimed so many lives, he says, "We were off Earth fighting in this crisis. We saved the whole universe." And the lady responds with, "You missed the spot." It is a very human story, told through the lens of superheroes. A story of not being stuck in the past, but learning to move on, in a very literal sense. The writing is so tight, there is no wasted space or dialogue. The art perfectly encapsulates the show's look. So since we have a new book gaining the ranking of Ultimate, it's time to replace Assorted Crisis Events. The main reason being, I think this book has a lower barrier of entry. You don't have to be very well versed in comic book storytelling to get everything out of it. It's just pure comic book goodness. Plus, it has a lot more recognizable characters than an indie comic. So while I think Assorted Crisis Events is a better book overall, Justice League 11 is a lot more accessible for a new comic book reader.
Tune in tomorrow to see what comic I cover next. And if you have any recommendations for a comic that you think would be really good for a new reader, or really bad, let me know in the comments and you might see it on the show.